the apara vidya, the knowledge that will help us to lead the world in a comfortable manner. But along with the comfort, it also binds us. These are the two types. And Sri Krishna talks about that knowledge, which he calls as Vijnana, Vishesha Jnana, that is special knowledge. We can also call it the inner knowledge, which will free our being from the bondages. So we studied, when we last met, the second verse, Jnanam te aham savijnanam idam vakshyami asheshataha yad jnatva neha bhuyonyat jnatavyam avashishyate. I shall now declare to you in fullness that knowledge along with the special knowledge, by means of which there will remain nothing more for you to understand. Shankaracharya says, Jnanam Shastrokta Padarthanam Parijnanam. What is knowledge? Ordinary knowledge means having an understanding about those principles that has been enumerated by the Shastra or the scriptures. The scriptures is a mixture of both sugar and sand, according to Sri Ramakrishna. So he says that if you give an ant a mixture of sugar and sand, it will only take the sugar and leave the sand aside. But scripture has to be all-inclusive. So therefore, the scripture gives so much of information to us. Whereas he says, Vijnanantu shastrato jnananam swa anubhavakaranam. What is Vijnana? That is the real knowledge or the special knowledge is that which makes you realize what you have understood, that which makes you go deeper within yourself and know yourself, know thyself. That is the dictum that we have in our scriptures. So Sri Ramakrishna used to say that a person who knows that God exists is a jnani. And he also says a jnani is like one who knows beyond doubt that a log of wood contains fire. So that much is there. I know that the wood is there and there is fire within it. But a vijnani is one who lights the log, cooks over the fire, and is nourished by the food. See, you see the difference between these two? Both of them have got knowledge, but the second type is the one who makes use of the knowledge to its fullest capacity, fullest potential. We all in our lives, as seekers of spiritual excellence, know that there is beyond this mundane existence the divine, and that God is there. For some of us, God is a distant reality, sitting in cloud 9, bestowing his grace upon those who do good and then punishing those who do evil. That is the maximum amount of knowledge that some people have. God as a glorified king, you can say, who rules over his kingdom. But The Vijnani is one who has approached that God, who has known the God, the divine, and who knows that that divine is not an external being. That divine is one's own inner being, Antaratman. Antaratman, it's a wonderful word that Ramanuja uses in his philosophy of Vishishtadvaita. Antaratman. He is Antaryami. That means one who is spread everywhere, and Antaratman, one who is the inner ruler. So, not just an external personality, but an internal personality. When we have our trials and tribulations in our life, we do both of this. Some do only one of that. That is, we seek and pray to God. We go to the temple and break some coconut, make some offering, or beg God and then try to bribe him. That's what we do. And we say, okay, you give this and I will give you that. That much is there. Yes, that relationship is also good. We are not saying that it is bad. It is okay, perfectly all right. But a Vijnani is one who goes beyond this understanding that God is just a giver and that I am a receiver. No, one who knows that whatever is done by the divine is for my ultimate good. See, there are two things. One is apparent good. That means, yes, to run the affairs of my life, day-to-day life, to remove me from trials, from worries and anxieties. We know God will help us, there's no doubt. But Vijnani is one who knows that all of these trials and tribulations are coming to me so that I can be washed off all the dross. Sri Ramakrishna says that when the goldsmith heats the gold, when he heats the gold will give up all the dross elements, the dross. So it will only the pure gold will appear. So in the same way, we are heated by the trials and tribulations of life, but we need to understand it. Instead of thinking so, if we think that God is unkind, it is to our disadvantage. God is not to be blamed for that, but our understanding has to undergo deeper knowledge, or it must go deeper within ourselves. Whatever is happening is because if you get some time, or if you get some opportunity to read the lives of some great saints, I would especially recommend the life of Naga Mahashaya. His name was Durgacharan Nag. He was a disciple of Sri Ramakrishna. What extraordinary life he led. He was a householder disciple. And what an extraordinary life he led. Full of the sense of the divine. Anything that would happen to him, he would attribute it to the divine grace only. He says, trials and tribulations, how God is gracious to give me this trials and tribulations. So, God is, no doubt, God gives to us what we need. There's no doubt about that. But when we receive something which we do not like or which we hate, then we should see the hand of the divine over there. This is a very deep thought which we will have to ponder over again and again, because it takes a lot of spiritual effort to arrive at that conclusion that yes, whatever happens in our life is the grace of the divine. So anyway, Jnanam te aham savijnanam idam bhakshyami. That special knowledge, that's what Sri Krishna is mentioning. But once you obtain that special knowledge, then there is nothing more remaining for you to understand, nothing more for you to understand, because all understanding is based on that one fact that the divine alone exists. If anything is happening in my life, it is the divine who is doing it, the divine who is enjoying it. In the 4th chapter, we studied it very, very well. Brahmarpanam, Brahmahavihi, Brahmagnau, Brahmanautam, Brahmaiva tena gantavyam, Brahma karma samadhina. Everything is Brahman, the Arpanam. So beautiful, such a beautiful verse, you see. Brahman, Brahma Arpanam, the ladle with which you serve the food is Brahman. The ghee that you use or the oil that you use in your cooking, that is also Brahman. And it is poured into the Jatara Agni, the fire that is in our stomach, which is also of the nature of Brahman. And ultimately, Sri Krishna says, Brahma eva tena gantavim. Where does all of this go? Everything goes into Brahman. So the divine itself is enjoying, the divine itself is suffering. That understanding should come into our lives, but it will come very slowly. It will come very, very slowly, no doubt. Sri Krishna, we will go to the next verse. Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschit yatati siddhaye yatataamapi siddhanam kaschin mam vetti tattvataha. Sahasreshu manushyanam kaschit yatati siddhaye. Among thousands of men here mean people. Among thousands of people, there will just be one here or there striving for spiritual perfection. See, Sri Ramakrishna says God does not want us to know him, because if he gets caught in our web, then he will have to be with us all the time. Therefore, he does not want to get caught. Therefore, he does not want to give us this knowledge. So there will be just one here or there striving for spiritual perfection. From among the aspirants so striving, one perchance knows me in truth. That is, in actuality, one among the many. Many are called, few are chosen. That is the words in the Bible. Very few people's minds turn towards God. And of those who want to know God, know about God, because we want to understand whether God is there or not, that is okay. Very few want to see God. Very few indeed want to see God. Why? Because of our grossness. We are gross. We are totally immersed in this world, gross world. Because we are concerned about what we can obtain, what I can lay my hands upon, that which is easy. In today's world, it is even more applicable. This is more applicable. Everybody wants instant gratification. Yeah. I read somewhere the person who invented this this scrolling on the devices apparently regretted doing that. And he said, I really regret, because with this, the human's concentration has gone down so low that nobody is able to concentrate more than a few seconds. That is indeed true. More than a few seconds scrolling. So very few of us are really concerned about knowing the divine. Therefore, in the Upanishads, also in the Katha Upanishad also, Yama says, Kaschid dhiraha pratyagatmanam ikshat avritta chakshuramritatvamichan. Kaschid dhiraha, among so many, only a few, dhiraha. There he uses the word dhira, means brave. One who can brave the vicissitudes and trials of life. Pratyagatma. Such a person will be able to know himself or herself. Pratyagatmanam. How do you do that? Avritta chakshuhu. Turn the external going senses inward. Chakshu, he uses the term eyes. Chakshu means eyes. Avritta chakshuhu. Avarana, that means to turn inward. Amritatvamichan, knowing, trying to know the supreme knowledge, trying to know the divine. So here in this verse, Sri Krishna uses this word, Kaschit yatati siddhai, kaschin mam vetti tattvataha. So the second line he says, yatatam api siddhanam kaschin mam vetti tattvataha. That's a very important word that must be underlined. Kaschin mam vetti tattvataha. Just a few really understand me, that is the divine, as I truly am, without any colorings, without any names, without any forms, without any attributes, because we are all accustomed to names, forms, attributes. So God, without all of this, as he is, like pure gold, that is what one likes. So when we see the world, we see it with tinted glasses, you can say. We see around and we wear some different colors of sunglasses, and then we see them, the world outside, as the glasses glass shows me. So that only one, without this, the help of these, the external devices, will be able to see the divine as it is, as he is. So our perception about the universe, or our perception about anything in this world, is clouded by two things. Not only two, but three. One is called, the first is called as samskaras. Samskaras means those impressions that we have been carrying, maybe from the past, plus whatever I have accumulated in this life, all those impressions. So with that, my perception about others is clouded. So Sri Ramakrishna says, the mother shows a man and tells her little baby, look here, he is your brother or he is your uncle. 100% the child believes that he is my uncle or he is my brother. 100%. There is no doubt about it, because the mother has put that impression in him or in the child, and the child believes totally. So he may not be a real uncle, may not be a real brother, but because the mother has put this idea into the baby's mind, the child realizes or understands that person to be as the mother has said. So that is samskaras. And then second is likes and dislikes. As the child grows, the child starts developing the likes and dislikes. Because parents sometimes say, oh, that is a bad person, don't mix with him or her. This is a good person, you mix with him or her. That's what we all do. So naturally, this likes and dislikes, we get colored about the others, our perception about the world is also tainted by the likes and dislikes. And the third is by learning. By learning, something we learn from the teachers, something like we learn from our friends and family, etc. So all our perception about this universe can be categorized into these three categories, which is samskaras, carried over tendencies, likes and dislikes, and then thirdly, learning. So here Sri Krishna is trying to impress upon us that we must go beyond this likes and dislikes, beyond this understanding jnana, and also beyond ajnana, that is ignorance. So kaschid yatati siddhaye yatatam api siddhan. I mean, the first and second verse of this chapter, Sri Krishna, I'm reminding ourselves, he says, Yatha jnasyasi tachrinu and asheshataha vakshyami, he says. So yatha, every word of the Bhagwat Gita carries a special meaning. It may have a word meaning, but it has an implied meaning as well within. So there he says, they uses the term yatha. That means how to know God. Yatha means yathatmya, as it is. So how to reach the divine from the gross to the subtle, and then go downwards towards the divine. So this fourth to seventh verse of this chapter is talking about how one understands the universe outside and how one understands one's own self. So, yatha jnasyasi tachrunu, I will tell you about this whole universe. Fourth verse, bhumi rapo nalo vayuhu kam mano buddhirevacha aham karayiti yamme bhinna prakritirashtadha. My nature is divided into 8 categories. That is the earth, the water, the fire, air, sky, mind, understanding, and the eye sense. See? Sri Krishna is dividing reality that we experience into 2 parts. One he says as Prakriti Rashtada. That means the Para Prakriti, the other is Apara Prakriti. Prakriti means Prakarshena Karoti. That means that which deals with the physical and mental. You can call it as a super physical nature. Vedanta's analysis of this nature, Prakriti, is all inclusive. The body is nature. The mind is also subject to nature. And the universe that we deal with in this life is also nature. What we see and what we are not able to see, all of that comes under the purview of nature, Prakriti. So one must go beyond this nature. Nature is either ordinary, neither ordinary nor extraordinary. Apara means the ordinary science, which makes us perceive things, understand the outer world, that which we can measure, ma, that means measure, apara. The para is that extraordinary science, or we can say as the higher science, which reveals that which is over and beyond all the senses and the mind. Atapara yaya tad aksharam adhigamyate, says the Katha Upanishad. Aksharam adhigamyate, that which makes us know that which is imperishable. This body is perishable. Mind is also perishable. But one should know that which is imperishable. Is it possible? Yes, it is possible, but by going beyond the purview of this Prakriti. That is what he says. He talks, Sri Krishna here analyzes these two aspects of para, that is the lower Prakriti, consisting of the body and the mind. It's only when we are able to separate the body mind with the I sense, that is the sakshi, permanent witness, that which sees all the changing phenomena. Once we are able to perceive this, our being, our mind itself rises higher, and then we'll be able to recognize the divine, recognize the divine self that is within our own being. So we beings are, according to Vedanta, I'm just giving a little more understanding of this topic, maybe a little terse, or try as much as possible to make it easy. We comprise of two things. One is Chit and the other is Achit. One is conscious Chit and the Achit is not conscious. But what happens in our daily day-to-day life is that we forget the Chit, the conscious principle that is behind us, and we give more importance on the Achit. That means the temporary, that which really does not have any basis of its very own. It is there. It is like the cloud. It is there, but it does not have any basis. As soon as there is a gust of wind, the cloud disperses. So within ourselves, that basis has to be understood. Chit, Chetana has to be understood. So that's why Shankaracharya, he is mentioning about this. Bhumihi, Apaha. Bhumi is the earth. Apaha. Apaha means water. Analaha, that is fire. And Anilaha, that is air. Bhumirapo, Nala. Kam means the ether. We can call it as Akasha or space, but ether is the subtle matter out of which all the other elements comes out. That is, it's a very subtle matter, ether. And then there is the mind, Manaha, and Buddhi, that means the intellect, and then Ahankara, that is the ego. All of these 5 elements make up this gross creation. All of this make up this gross creation. The last three, the mind, intellect, and the ego, are known as the subtle creation, Sukshma. Sukshma means subtle creation. So when the ego is identified with the body, if I say, I, Atmeshananda, naturally I am associating this body with myself. I am not associating the self with myself, but I am associating with this body and mind complex. So which Sri Ramakrishna terms as avidya maya. That which does not allow you to know your own self. Avidya maya. That maya, that inscrutable power which clouds your understanding, which covers your understanding, is known as the avidya maya. But when this same self, ego, when it identifies with the divine, when I say that I, the divine, not just I, Atmeshananda, but I, the divine. So when I say that, then it is Vidya Maya, not by mere words, but by deeper understanding within myself. When I associate myself with the body as a separate entity, then I get bound. I get baddha, that means bound. But when I identify myself as a child of the divine, as a servant of the divine, as a friend of the divine, then it will slowly release ourselves. That's why Hinduism lays so much stress upon these bhavas, that means attitudes that one should try to develop in one's own life. So treat God as your friend, as your child, as your father, as your mother, as your intimate friend. Whatever it is, there are Navada Bhakti, 9 different types of attitudes that one can adopt, or as a servant of the divine. So I, not as a mere human being, but as a part of the divine. That is the Vishishta Advaita philosophy talks about this. Consider yourself as Amsha, and Amshi is the divine. Amsha means the part, you as the part, and the whole is the divine. So to accept God as one's very own, and that I am an integral part of Him, is the beginning of religion, says Swami Vivekananda. To accept God as one's very own and to become an integral part of Him is the beginning of religion. So in the seventh, this seventh chapter, Sri Krishna is talking about this distinction between the Chit and Achit, the Para and Apara, that which is permanent and that which is temporary. So, Bhumi Rapo Nalo Vayuhu. Having said this, one thing must be understood. This is a very important point to be noted. Prakriti or nature is neither an obstacle nor is a means to realization. It is there as it is. Swami Vivekananda was giving a talk on Maya. He came up with a wonderful statement over there. He says, what is Maya? Maya is a statement of fact. It is a statement of fact. It is there when I am seeing it. When I close my eyes, it is not there. Shankaracharya, when we study the Viveka Chudamani, he defines Maya thus: Sannapya sanna hyubhayatmikanu. You cannot say that it is there, and you cannot also say it is not there. Bhinnapya bhinna hyubhayatmikanu. You cannot say that it is different from you, and you cannot also say that it is one with you. Because as soon as the cloud disappears, what you see is the sun of knowledge. There is no more cloud over there. It is there only when I see it. Once the vision changes, then it disappears totally. So if I get attached to this Prakriti, and thereby I become prey to my egoistic feelings. I get attached to someone and say, this is my friend, this is my companion, and this will give me joy, or this will give me enjoyment. So that's what we do. But ultimately, we all know, every one of us knows, that there is no real happiness there. Happiness is by being within one's own self, deeper within ourselves. It's what it says. So, iti yamme, he says, binna prakriti, ahamkara iti yamme, binna prakriti rashtada. So, this nature, Sri Krishna wants us that the lower nature is also his, the apara prakriti is also his. It is not ours. The universe belongs to him, the divine. See, but we catch hold of something and say, this is mine, this is mine. It was never there before, it was never yours before, and after you are done and gone, it will never be there with you. This must be understood very, very clearly when we practice our spiritual discipline. So egoism has got two parts, or two desires, you can say. One is that which seeks pleasure, and the second is that which seeks knowledge, understanding. Both of them are evils. Ultimately, both of them has to be thrown out. Sri Ramakrishna gives a very beautiful example. His examples are extraordinary. You are walking in the bush, and suddenly a big acacia thorn pricks your foot. Your footwear is not strong enough. It goes and pricks your foot, and immediately you jump, and with pain. And some of the thorn has, a portion of the thorn has entered into your foot. So what do? You take a seat, remove the major portion of the thorn, and then you search for a needle or another piece of strong thorn, and then you slowly, with great care, you remove that thorn that has already entered into your foot. And after removing the thorn, the small thorn, with the help of a large, stronger thorn, are you going to keep it as a souvenir? We don't do that. We take both the thorns and then throw it back into the bush. So this desire to know something also comes to an end. The desire to enjoy something also comes to an end. So through Sri Krishna, through the Bhagwat Gita, tries to teach us that through karma yoga, performance of your actions without seeking any results thereof, without seeking any benefits thereof, through that we will be able to remove the thorn of desire for pleasures. And through jnana yoga, by acquisition of jnana, discipline of knowledge, then we will be able to throw both of those and then be established in our understanding about the divine. So in this verse, Sri Krishna seems to encompass a lot about both the paravidya and aparavidya, the lower vidya and the aparavidya, ahankara, that ego sense. Sometimes it pushes you towards destruction, and sometimes that same ego will drag you out of your trials and tribulations. But if that understanding or that ego is tempered with the love of God, with the knowledge of God, then what happens is that even when we are in dire trials and tribulations, dire negative circumstances, a part of our mind will always rest at the feet of the divine, will always rest in the divine. So the pain that we experience, the agony that we experience, becomes minimized to a very large extent. There will be a little bit of remnant pain, no doubt about that, but that will completely, or the major portion of the pain completely disappears, provided we know that the universe that I am dealing with, the apara prakriti that I am dealing with, ultimately has to go in order to realize the para prakriti, the supreme self. So that is where we will stop today, and we will take up the next verse, the fifth verse. Apare yamitastvanyam prakritim viddhi me param jiva bhutam mahabaho yayedam dharyate jagate. This almighty armed is my lower nature. Know that as different from it, it is my higher nature. Know that as different from it is my higher nature, forming the source of all jivas and the support of the whole universe. This needs a little bit more explanation. So we will come back to this when we meet next month after this.